comment section.
Hi.
All right, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Totally fine, thank you for asking. My name is Vahid Chitsaz, part of the Elite Mastermind group. Thank you for taking this time and being with us. Go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody. Let us know where you're coming in from.
For sure. My name is Daria, I live in Los Angeles. Originally, I'm from Russia, and I am a neuroscience expert. So my background is in neuroscience, and this is one of the reasons I love Think and Grow Rich, because it has so many connections to our brain and how it works. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. I'm very, very excited to dive into it. You're a success mindset or mindset expert. Tell us a little bit, what the heck does mindset mean? Because it's a word that we're not used to using on our daily normal conversation. Unless you're in self-development, you don't get to use that often, or if you're in business that specifically deals with self-development. What does mindset mean to you?
Yeah, to me, it's a set of programs that we operate on. It's like our software in our brain. And according to the software, we act in life and create all choices that we have. So it's basically what is wired in us. This is our mindset. And in many cases, we are not aware about that. And we don't know even if we have a specific type of mindset. But when we start to dig deeper and read books like Think, Grow, Rich or other self-development resources, we start to realize how many things we have programmed in our brain and that we can change it. And when we change those things inside our brain, our thought patterns, our beliefs, our fears, we create a new mindset.
That is awesome. Now, what does the process take? Let's say somebody wants to change their mindset. What are the steps that they need to take to change it? Is it to read books? Is it to apply it? What are some of the methods that we could use?
Yeah, for sure. So, of course, before you start doing something, you should understand how it works. That's why I think learning how the brain works in terms of from the standpoint of neuroscience, it's very important, because you can logically understand that, yes, when I think about something, I create a thought connection, I create a connection within my neurons. And when I think about something over and over again, this connection becomes stronger. And eventually it becomes embedded in the personality and becomes a part of mindset. So the first step is to learn how it works and how to form your beliefs and systems. And the second step is to recognize them. Because just to recognize them, put them on paper, it may be uncomfortable. It's always uncomfortable because the things that come up in many cases are not so pleasant for people to realize. And as a society, we are not open to negative emotions, to negative experiences. We try to dump them in. So in order to work with it, you should just bring this to light and recognize. It's the second step. And once you recognize, the third step is to consciously recreate them. So you just write in an opposite thing of what you were thinking, you know, about life, about relationships, about money, about anything. And then you embed this thought, new thought and new belief in yourself by finding examples around you which already practice this belief. And our brain works this way that when we are thinking about something and believing that it's true, we find all proof in the world around us. So it's just a matter of what we believe in. Our world is so different that we can have as many truths as we want. And we can find an example for every single case. So it's just a matter, does it serve us or not?
That is awesome. And you have a routine that you put people through the process. I looked at your website and it was self-explanatory, and you had the Q&A on your website that everybody, you know, the frequently asked questions that everybody needs to go through. But my question is, what are those 10 days, what do you do for the first 10 days that you put them through your program?
Yeah, so first 10 days are completely free, and it's just like a standalone product. So when you go there, we start the work from the day one. And every 3 days, you receive a new task and a new piece of content from me, and I personally give you feedback via text message on how you did. Because when you submit the task, you go forward. If not, you are deleted from the program. Yes, and basically during those 3 days, we get crystal clear on what we want, and we also start to work with belief systems.
That is awesome. Now, let me ask you a question. When did you start Think and Grow Rich, reading Think and Grow Rich? And what is one of your favorite principles that individuals should be utilizing in their business career?
Yeah, I love that Think and Grow Rich talks about this, that you should uncover this burning desire for something. And I think this is the main thing, because we are so scared to get clear on what we want. We kind of like, for example, when I work with people and when we first time sit down and just writing down 15 wishes, you know, like 15 desires, they're always so vague, literally. When I get lists, like they're extremely vague, like I want to be wealthy, I want to be healthy, I want to be happy, I want to marry this person, or I want to, you know, get like that job, but nothing is specific. So it's amazing that Think and Grow Rich talks about when you connect your burning desire to the specific goal that you have, and the more quantifiable it is, the better. You know, you want money, how much, for what would you spend it on? And especially with money, I find that people tend to want some astronomical amounts of money from their point of view. For example, if a person makes $1,000 per month and they start to want out of nowhere like $1 billion per year. And although for some people $1 billion per year, it's a very like reasonable amount, you know, because they already have in their reality. But for people who make 1K a month, they can't even imagine what it feels like, what they would do if they would earn 1 billion. So it means that they just, you know, wasting their time on about thinking about something that they can't feel. So it's so important to kind of like aim for something that you can feel like having it. And this is what I love about Napoleon Hill, because he talks about money as a form of energy that we can, you know, possess already. So yeah, this is what I love.
I love it. Now, there are two ways to build a neural path and create new habits, or maybe there are more. But what are the 2 ways or 3 ways that you and I could create those habits and those reality? Is it by writing it down, reading it? Is it meditating? Is it reading it? Because I know when you repeat things, just like Think and Grow Rich talks about in the book, Dr. Hill says it, when you repeat those things, I think those neural paths start being created, number one. Number two, they become embedded. How often or how many times should you do it before you're like, okay, now I can move on. This has already been embedded in my personality already.
Yeah. For example, if we let me just tell a practical example. You are working on your new belief that you can have money, because some people truly believe that money is not for them, that their family is cursed. You know, many religious things try to, you know, go in there and tell people that no, money is bad, money is sinful, it's like only bad people have money. And so when people have this type of belief, for example, bad people have money, the way they reconfirm this belief is that they find always examples of people who have money and who are bad. But when they work on creating a new belief that people who have money are amazing, they want to contribute to the society, they have these resources to help the ones who are, you know, less fortunate than them. And it's amazing to have money because, you know, I can do this when I earn this money. And then you go and you consciously, you Google these examples, you make a conscious effort to find examples of amazing people, like extraordinary people who have money and who are doing great things. And by that, you start to reconfirm your new model of reality. And when you find those examples consciously long enough, your brain starts to find them automatically. And when your brain picks up something automatically, without you like oh, let me think about who is this person, who is that person. When you know that randomly, when you hear the news, you don't hear bad stuff, you just pick up the stuff that you need. And that's it. So you train your brain to filter information for you. And right now it also filters information for you, but from the standpoint, oh, rich people are bad, you know? It just depends what you're looking for, and if you're consciously looking for this enough, your brain will start to do it automatically.
I love it. Now, when you talk about brain, are we talking about the mind, or we're literally talking about brain?
We're talking about the brain, because the brain creates neural connections. We have like 86 billion neurons in our brain, and every single neuron, it always connects with 10,000 other neurons. So they create those networks, and those networks, they reflect what we think and what we feel. Because what we think, neurons are connecting, and there is this neurotransmitters, those chemicals that travel between the neurons, and those neurotransmitters, they reflect the emotion. That's why
because I think everything that happens in our body is based on chemical reaction first. Yeah. So the receptors need to get the right signals, definitely. And once those pathways are already built, you can travel through them much faster versus creating them. So is it your professional opinion that at the beginning takes us a little bit longer to create those habits and the mindsets, but then down the line, it's much easier? So if you've had success or you're on your way to success, is it getting easier to make more money if my goal is to make money as time goes by because I'm trained now?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. The more you train your brain to find examples and to find things that truly inspire you and that reconfirm your new model of reality that you created for yourself, the easier it becomes. And you know, I have my personal example. For example, when I moved to the United States from Russia, I had this very deep belief that, like, if I'm not a native speaker, I can't make any public career here. And I had this like so embedded in my mind that I would feel very bad. I was like in a very bad emotional circumstance because I'm a very outgoing person. I love to talk. I love to create programs and lead them and all this stuff. You know, in Russia, I used to be a TV host. And when I moved here, everything canceled because of the language. Like, in a foreign language is so different. And so I was living in this belief for a year, literally feeling like the worst in my life. And then when that's why I started to learn neuroscience, because I wanted to understand what's happening with me. And then out of nowhere, not out of nowhere, but like some circumstances in my life supported me in studying neuroscience. And then I started to study it, and then I understood that I can recreate this belief. But before I studied neuroscience, I couldn't recognize that I have this belief. And then I changed it. And once I changed it, I started to look for examples. And you know what? I randomly found one video of Ariana Huffington, who has like extremely harsh accent and still makes it on a public arena. Deepak Chopra, like all those people who have, you know, really like strong accents, and they're coming from different cultural backgrounds, and they still are making their public career success. And right now my brain sees only these examples. And right now I actually think that if you have an accent, if you come from a different country, it's actually better, because this is what makes you unique and this is what makes you special. So this is like my personal example, how I was working on one of mine.
I agree with that 100%. And also don't forget the fact that you are able to speak a different language is a bonus, because now you could do a multi-language. Now you can explain the same thing in 2 different languages and at the same time be able to deliver the same process. So I agree with that. I speak multiple languages and I'm able to teach a lot of people this in different languages, and that makes you unique. But it also brings you more money, more income, more possibilities, more potential, where in return, you're going to start believing in brand new sets of behaviors and beliefs, which indirectly brings you more money, more success. So you'll be very impacting, become impactful in other people's lives. I totally agree with that. Now, let me ask you a question. Why would you recommend people Think and Grow Rich? Why should people read Think and Grow Rich, in your opinion?
if they want to improve their money situation. Because I think money is like as important as relationships, as friendship. It's like one of spheres of life. And if we look at the wheel of life, very popular concept, like every sphere is equal. And for some people, like money is just so hard. And in this case, you just should read this book to understand how your brain works and what you can do, specifically applicable to the sphere of money.
I agree with that 100%. I want to thank you so much for taking this time and being with us today. Hopefully we get to do a more dive into it. I checked the website and your posts on Instagram. They're amazing. Keep up the good work. Whoever is designing it, whoever is behind it, whoever you're helping them to work, and whoever you're managing is doing a good job. So make sure you give them a little bit of a raise. They're doing a good job. I appreciate you taking this time and being with us today.
Thank you so much. Have an amazing day. You're an amazing interviewer. I love your questions.
Thank you so much. Talk to you later.